Hello, everyone, and welcome to this webinar of the IEEE Computational Intelligence Society. I'm Adai Halbeck and will be the chair today. And it's my great privilege to present to you our wonderful presenter, who is Julia Chung. So Julia received a PhD degree in electrical engineering from the Texas Tech University in the USA in 1991. She then joined the Department of Electrical Engineering at the National Cheng Kung University in Taiwan and has become a full professor in 1996. She served as head of Department of Electrical Engineering, the director of Institute of Computer and Communication Engineering at the NCKU. She was also elected a Distinguished Professor of NCKU in 2005 and received the Distinguished Professor Award of the Chinese Institute of Electrical Engineering in 2012. She also served as Program Director of Intelligent Computing Division, Ministry of Science and Technology, the Director General of the Department of Information and Technology Education at the Ministry of Education, the Dean of the Miin School of Computing at NCKU. Currently, she's the Dean of College of Electrical Engineering and Computer Science at NCKU, Taiwan. She served on 2 terms as an ADCOM member of IEEE and also the chair of the CIS Distinguished Lecturer Program, the chair of Women in Computational Intelligence, and the vice president for member activities of the IEEE Society. She also served on 2 terms of the BOG member and IEEE Circuit and System Society. She's a member of the Phi Tau Honor Society and is an IEEE Fellow since 2008. And currently she serves as the Vice President for Education of the IEEE Computational Intelligence Society. So it's my great honor to hand over to you. Thank you very much, Julia.
Okay, thank you. So let me share my screen. So, can I see?
Yes,
how come I cannot see the screen? Yeah, can I see the sharing?
Okay, so if you go to sharing.
Yeah, I'm supposed to share the screen, but where? I saw it.
There's that looks like a play button.
Yeah, I know. It's a. You see it? No, right?
No.
Come on. The screen, you just show me disappear.
Okay, let me just quickly try. Okay, there we can see your screen now. Can you see it?
Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Right?
Yes.
You can see my screen now?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, finally. All right. Thank you for my day's introduction. And today my topic is resolving cross-hospital variation effect in AI-based pathology image analysis. You can call me Julia Chung. I'm from National Cheng Kung University, Canada. I'm also the Vice President for Education for IEEE CIS. And this is our society website. If you have a chance, go to visit. And before I going into the topic, before I go into the topic, I would like to use one slide to introduce the IEEE CIS. I promise I have only one slide. This is our website. So if you have a chance, go to look at our website. Under IEEE CIS, we have lots of the educational program. One of them is Distinguished Lecturer Program. So if you are the chapter chair, or even if you are not chapter chair, but you are a CIS member and you would like to listen to some of the distinguished speaker talk, then you can go to the website, ask your chapter chair to invite some of the distinguished speaker to go to your local chapter to give the talk. We also have webinars we have been holding today. Under education, we also have summer school. So if you would like to organize some of the summer school for your members or for your community, please go to our website. We have this program for you to apply, and you can find a speaker to support you. But for the summer school, we only support the local expenses. For example, your activity refreshment or some of the local budget. And we also have high school outreach. This is particular for high school students. So we organize some of the STEM program. Like you can see, this is some of our program we train on for the high school students, or even sometimes they also have some elementary school students. They are working on some of the robots and also some of the AI program to experience how the robot connected to the AI, and so to work together. And we also have some committee called competitions. That is, we support competitions. So if you are interested in organize educational competitions, and then you can apply for the budget. For every 2 years, 1 or 2 years, we also organize CIS levels competition, so that you can watch our website. Normally, we will have our competition, a more large scale competition, to join with our flagship conference called Wiki, WCCI. So if you are interested in that, please go to see it. And currently, we are working on CIS Resource Center. That is one kind of CIS education repository. Our VP for industrial activity and the government governance, yeah, our IA and G are working on this. And we would like to turn the resource center to become a very well organized educational repository, so that there will be many of the invited talk, keynote speeches, their video will be stored there. And we are also would like to organize some of the fundamental educational program and also lectures recorded in the resource center, so that if we or if some of our members would like to learn or to listen to some of the talk or to learn by yourself, you can go to our CIS Resource Center to see all the educational materials and also videos. And we also have educational portal. Currently is under construction, which will be a portal for high school teachers for there to share the experiences. So especially when they are teaching AI or CI materials and they would like to share their material or share the experience, they can go to the educational portal to share their comments and also ask for the resources. And in addition to that, we support graduate research grant. So if you have the students who would like to work with another professor in other institute and on AI or CI topics, then you can apply for the graduate research grant. But this, I think deadline might be maybe recently. So every year, because this is a summer, normally we expect the students will take their summer vacation to do the research grant with other professors. So under CIS, we have all these kind of programs, and I will encourage all of you to better use our resources and our materials for that, and so that you can you would have best of the use. And if you'd like to know much more of the detail, please check with our website. I'm going to my topic. Today, I would like to talk about the pathology image analysis. if you look into the hospital information system, you found that we have the health record in digitized, and even the radiologist image, like all the X-ray or CT or MRI images or ultrasound image. Currently, all of the hospital, I should say most of the hospital, these kind of images are digitized. So they use PACS system to support them and to view these films or images. But there's only one type of the examination which has not been completely digitized. That is pathology images. But because around 2019, because of AI has booming as a very potential technique on many of the image analysis. So currently, they are the thinking about the pathology being digitized and use the AI to help the pathologists do analysis is becoming a hot topic. So I would like to bring you some of the information here. And before we get into the process, I would like to let you know what does mean by a pathology images. What is the process to make such pathology images? A pathology images is actually an image looking into a very high magnification of one of our body tissues. For example, sometimes if for some reason a patient go to the surgery, they may cut down a small piece of the tissues. And for this tissue, the doctor would like to confirm their magnificent or benign. Then they will take this tissue to make it into pathology images. And in order to make it into pathology images, this tissue has to go through dehydration. That means it has to be dehydrated to remove all the water. But the tissue is very soft. So in order to have it fix the structure, so we go through the paraffin infiltration. This part is to fix the tissue so that it will not deflow. And then it will cut to the slice and then go to the staining. This is one kind. This is some illustration of the staining. Staining is because the tissue usually doesn't have the color and it's very hard to observe. So the staining is to put on some of the dyeing material on these tissues. And based on the different components we would like to look into the tissue. There are different kind of dyeing protocol or dyeing material have been added to these tissues. The most common or regular dyeing protocol is called HE stain. This is one of the example of HE stain. HE stain is to emphasize the nucleus. That means our body cell, nucleus of our body cells. But if the doctor would like to look at other components, for example, if they would like to look into the fibrosis, then they will go through the Masson staining. This is some kind of Masson staining, this blue. So only the fibrosis will be highlighted. And another is IHC stain. IHC stain is to base on human antibodies. So for example, we would like to look at whether our tissue has certain of the certain kind of disease. For example, if we have the D type of the liver, then they would use spatial of the antibody to bound on our tissues. And this kind of staining we call IHC stain. And because of different disease we would like to look into, so different IHC scan antibody will be used to highlight certain of functionality of cells. You might be wondering what this tissue. Tissue, after all this process, the tissue are put into a glass. And for digitization, this tissue of the glass will go through a scanner, and I would like to see how we usually to go through the scanner. The scanner can set on the different magnification scale. For example, the largest scale is 40 plus. That is the resolution is 0.25 centimeter for 1 pixel. For that, for this kind of staining scale, if a tissue has 2 centimeter by 1 centimeter, the image size will be about 14G. But if your cutting is 5 centimeter by 2.5 centimeter tissues, then the image will become the 60G. So you see that a whole slide image or pathology image is extremely large. So in order to examine such large of the image, it is very time consuming. And if you does not have an idea how large it is, this is one of the slides I try to extract some of the radiology images for you. For example, for the last one is mammography. Usually we consider mammography is a high resolution, so it's 2K. And usually a pixel would use 2 bytes, that is 16 pixels to represent a pixel of the image. In that case, for a mammogram image, just one slide of the mammogram image is only 8 megabyte. So you can see that how much large is the pathology image compared to the radiology image. Because of this reason, that's the reason why up to this moment, the hospital has not gone through completely digitization because it requires extremely large of the storage to store this. And how the doctor do the pathology image examination, this is one of the one of our doctor, they look into this is microscopy, and this microscopy are installed with different scale. As I remember, there's 4 scale magnification. And so the doctor usually will look into this with different magnification scale. Why we need to look into the magnification scale? I will show you. Maybe let me skip this one. You can see this is one of the whole slide. This is a whole slide. This is slide of the image. And if you look into the detail, look at this detail. With this scale of magnification, if you know resolution of magnification, you can look at on that. By the low scale of magnification, you can see the structure neighboring, you can see the overall the tissue structure. However, you will not be able to see the details. For example, if you like to see how is the cell looks like, is it regular or is it very well defined? In that case, you need to use a very high magnification scale to look into the details. But once you look into the high resolution scale into the details, then you can only look into a small view of the tissues, because you will not be able to see such a large of them. So because of that reason, you can see that doctors needs to go through the different magnification scale to observe the tissue. For the larger scale, they can see detail, but for the small scale, then they can look at more about the structure layer and also the relationship with the neighboring structure. So that's the reason it is very time consuming. So you can see it's very time consuming, and also up to moment, because it's such a large scale. So you need to look through the whole of the image and to do the report. So it highly depends on doctor's experience to see how is the cellular level, how is the cell level experience. And also, since doctor has some of the different experience, so it is not uncommon to see that the pathology might come out different and reporting, especially the case is challenging. So particularly recently, we are talking about the precision medicine. That is how we can use more precise finding from our disease, particularly like the gene analysis and also pathology level of analysis. But if you would like to look into the precision medicine, we would hope that there are more quantitative of values of these pathology images. But without the digitization, without the software, with lack of quantitative data, so it lacks the support for the precision medicine. Because of that reason, so recently, starting from about 2020, some of the hospital start to looking for pathology image glass digitization, and they would like to borrow the analysis tool, AI tool, to help to do the analysis. This is one of the software we have developed, and we call it Allovas AI pathology platform. It can be logging into the system to analysis through iPad or iPhone or your laptop. But when we are doing the analysis, as I mentioned, we need to look into the different scale, because that is the intrinsic approach for the doctors. They look into the different scale into the in the examining of the images. So because of that, so we propose, we have developed a feature online, the multi-scale fusion. That is, we use the convolution network with the multi-scale. So it has multi-head, different input. I should say different input, and the different multiple input, and then the multiple take the different scale image, and in the middle of the image, in the middle of the convolution network, there are fusion. There's a fusion, and so to fuse the different scale of the image, and then they finally do the prediction result. You can look at the, if you are interested, you can look at, you can go to the our work to do the reference. There are more details, and based on that, we also use ASPP so that they would look into multi-scale of the view of the. So we combine different scale, and also within this one layer we use ASPP so that you can look into the different view, different larger view, and then to fuse it together to become a network. And we also, as I mentioned, we have the different view of the scale, and we also particularly design the different view of the scale based on the component in the pathology images. Because in the pathology images is our tissues. For example, this is one example for the liver tissue. In the liver tissue, there are bile ducts, there are artery, and there are portal vein. So there are also a nucleus. So these are all have different large of the size. So this different scale of the ASPP, we particularly try to design it to fit into the tissue scale, so that it best describe and capture the property of the different components we would like to look into. And there's another once, as I mentioned, once we develop a model for helping analysis. As up to the previous I have mentioned, we have developed a model for liver pathology image analysis for the liver tumor, and also liver, the lymphocyte and the plasma cell analysis. Normally, we, as we know, usually when we are doing this kind of model building, we try to collect the data, or we try to work with some of the hospital, and you collect the data from that hospital. But once you build the model, there's one challenge that occurred. That is because currently there are many of the scanners for the pathology images digitization. And for the different scanner, they usually come out different characteristic. Or you can see that they have different style. These come from the same image, but you can see if we go through the different scanner and the image property characteristic are completely different. So it is quite often that you build a model from the one hospital, you carry into another hospital, then the model may not work well in another hospital. So that is one of the problem. And then as I mentioned to you, you might say, okay, once I go to another hospital, I retrain it. But as I mentioned to you, our image is very large. So in order to do the labeling of the image, because the image is extremely large, it could be as large as 60G. So to labeling one whole slide of the image, I mean, a whole tissue of the image, usually we call it whole slide of the image. The whole, to scan the whole slide of the, to analyze the whole slide of the image, to label the whole slide image, it could take, depending on how challenging. If you the tissue are more challenging, you have to remove some of the noises, then it could take 3 hours to 5 hours just to label a whole slide of image. So when we would like to carry a model to another hospital, we would like to avoid the relabeling, the task of relabeling. Okay, so that is our problem. So in order to solve this problem, so there are several things we have to do. So as I mentioned to you, the one of the reason is because the model train also cannot be generally applied to another hospital. And the reason for that is because of the hospital in the data in one hospital may not work well for another hospital. For example, this is another hospital, and because of the scanner difference, and also because, as I mentioned to you, the tissue has to go through dyeing process. And this dyeing process, if the different, normally there are standard protocol for the dyeing process, but if they still have slightly, for example, it says this has to stay on 5 minutes, and if you dyeing a slightly difference, or if the solution, dyeing solution, is not accurately calculated, then the color in different hospitals usually would change slightly. So this will limit the model to apply into another hospital. And because of that, so one approach to solve that is to do transformation. So one very common, well-adopted approach, which has been mentioned quite some time ago, before the pathology analysis was going, is in general, it's called domain adaptation. That is, if you are model training one domain and you would like to adapt the model into another domain, this is called domain adaptation. And the different domain implies that the data characteristics or things are different. And for our pathology image cross hospital, it is something like the different domain. So we are trying to use domain adaptation approach to do that. In order to do that, there are some ways. One way is with the source data. With the source data means if you can still, for example, your model was built from hospital A, and you would like to carry the model to another hospital B, and if currently you still have the data from the hospital A, this kind of adaptation, we mention it as with the source data. That means even you carry your model to hospital B, but you still have the data from hospital A. So under this situation with source data condition, you have three kinds of common approach being used. One way is to do data transformation. That is, we try to train a model, from the hospital B. We try to transfer the image style from hospital B to hospital A. And hospital A, we call it source. That is the data which used to train the model. Okay, so I will use the source data as hospital A, and the model will carry to hospital B. Then hospital B, usually we call it target hospital, and the data in hospital B, we call it target data. So if we use it that way, then one of the approaches is we can use the transferring the style from the target data. That is the one we will apply the model to into the same style as the source data, a start of the source. So if you can transfer the style of the target data into the style of the source data, then the source model trained from the source data can apply to you, hopefully. So this is kind of an approach that is we integrated to train a model to convert the data. Okay, this is called data transformation. Another approach is decoding based. That is, this is when training, I try to align the features. For example, once I have the source, I already have the source model, and also the target data. I have the source data and target data, and also I got the model. When I am training, I try to align the feature, the encoder, so that the encoder can take both the source data and the target data to come out the same feature space. That is another approach. In this approach, instead of transferring the data, we need to convert the model. That means during our we are training the model, we need to enforce some of the approach so that the source data and the target data, they go to the encoder, and the encoder will come out a similar feature space for both data. This is a second kind of approach. And the third kind of approach is called the adversarial discriminant method. That is, we try to enforce the encoder to decompose the feature into domain specific and the domain invariant features. That is, you try to enforce the encoder to have two encoder, and the one is put it into the domain invariant feature, and another encoder try to extract domain specific feature. So by that, you try to decompose. But for these two approach, you have to do it during the model training, because as I mentioned to you, it is during the model training, you need to both the source data and target data, and you try to decompose it. You try to work on the network model so that it will be that. But once if you already have the model trained and you just stop training, then data transformation is the only approach you can use. So this is one of the I should say background survey for this. As I mentioned, that there's some way of approach is to try to enforce the source and target feature distribution aligned. As I mentioned, the second approach, But aligned, even for aligned, there are still some of the situation, because if you aligned, for example, if you target feature and the source feature has been aligned, but if the feature is to do the, for example, is to do the classification, and you have two different type of the objects. For example, those type of circle and the depth of the cross. These two types. And this is the boundary separate these two types. Even if our source alignment has been aligned so that the source and target are the same, but even though it fall into the same category, but if the target data, the circle and the cross are not located between across the boundary, then even the target feature space may fall into the false feature space, but the task, your classification or your segmentation will not still work well. So that, as I mentioned to you, so that even for the feature alignment, they still have a dilemma, unless you need to carefully to think about if when you align the target feature into the source feature space, the different object has to be separated in target space also. So it is very critical that for the feature alignment approach, you need to make sure not just the target feature align with the source feature space. It has to be also being able to be separated as like this, instead of like this, once you aligned. So that is very essential part you need to pay attention to, okay? So, because the reason I would like to introduce one of our work, we assume that once our model has been trained, and we would like to take this model to another hospital or to data on another scanner scanned, we call target data. And our approach use the GAN to transfer the data. And for the GAN to transfer the data, one very common approach is the cycle GAN. And you can use, for example, in our case, our model is trained in Leica scanner scan the image. And then now we take this model into another two hospital. One is in 3D stack scanner, and the other is in Hamamatsu scanner. And when it applied, it would not work so well. So we would like to try to transfer the data from the 3D stack to the Leica style. This is some of the background for the image style transformation in the literature. There are also different kind of approach. I think I don't have time to mention about that. There are different kind of approach, but this kind of approach we tried, and it does not work well because you know that the different color transformation is very traditional color matching based transformation is not that easy, because the different tissue, they have a different color stain style, so it's not easy to use one formula to do the transformation. So we use the cycle GAN. However, I would like to let you know that the cycle GAN is you try to transfer one style of the image to another style of the image. Okay, let me go. However, even if you transfer one style of the image to another style image, even it looks very good, the semantic information may still be lost. What does it mean? If you know there's one challenging part called adversarial attack, that saying that I borrow some of the results from IBM's work. This is the very early adversarial attack paper. It mentioned that there's an image of a panda, and the model can recognize the panda as about 60% of the confidence. And if you in this panda, obviously for our human eyes, we will consider this is a panda. But if we add the noise, for example, it's random noise, very, very small amount of random noise into this image, and it will become this image. To our human eyes, it looks still very similar like this one. But the model could misrecognize it is as a gibbon, and with very high confidence, 99% of confidence. So when we are doing the image transformation, even if the image quality looks very similar, it does not mean that this image can still maintain, would still work well for the model. It could be something like adversarial noise. So in our approach, we are thinking that when we are doing the cycle gain to do transformation, it is very essential to keep this recognition or to keep this transform the image being so like our model being highly have still high performance for this transferred image. Okay, and this is one of example I would like to show you about the cycle gain. Cycle gain is I think I would not describe about the gain again. If you would like to look, you can, because it is a very if you are interested, you can contact me again, because it is a very well common knowledge now. The cycle gain is it trains adversarial model so that it can transfer from one object to another object. And then in order to make sure that transformation is correctly, so it then have this transferred object transfer back to the same object, so that it makes sure that your host will transfer to another type, and this type will transfer back. So you will make sure that these will be the same. And similarly, I can use this one, transfer to this host, and then use this host here, transfer back. Like this one, this is to show. I use this one, transfer this, and transfer back. And so that these two will be similar, these two will be similar. Okay. So this is to try to enforce this. And also in the cycle gain, it also forces that the same image transfer to itself should be also the same. This is a reconstruction error for the cycle gain. Okay. And our argument is under such of the transformation, the image might look very similar. You might think it's okay because it goes through the reconstruction error. A reconstruction error means pixel-wise is similar. However, the transferred image, for example, there's an image, Leica image, I transfer into 3D histech and come back to Leica, or 3D histech come to the Leica and come to the 3D histech. I can go through to that, so I can always transfer the image from one style to another style. However, the style of the image transferred is going into our model for image recognition or image segmentation. So our argument is, even though doing the transformation, you may think that the picture looks very similar. However, when I apply this image into this model, because of adversarial attack issues, this image may not work very well in our model. So how can we do the transformation while to maintain this model work very well? That is the key point. So I would like to make sure, we would like to make sure about that. So in order to make sure about that, we're doing that way that once we have the image transfer through the gain to do the transformation, this image would apply into our model, and we enforce this model. We enforce the transfer the image, the star transfer the image when it applied into our model to do the prediction result. This is the prediction result. We are doing the segmentation of some of the tiny parts. So we would like to make sure the transform image after applied to the model, the prediction result would still be accurate. So we ensure we add this as a segmentation loss, segmented into the star transfer, That is, in the gain transformation, we enforce it, there must contain a segmentation loss, so that the transformation, the image after transformation needs to be able to have the model being predicted accurately. This kind of transformation, in that case, they can reduce the adversarial noise. Okay, and you might ask me, well, do you have this kind of labeling? Yes, as I mentioned to you, for the source, I can use the source image. Source image has the label, but the target image, we do not have label. So we can base the use of the source image to do the transformation and back to source image and apply to the model. And so then it should have the same labeling. Or so that is the result. That is we have. And similar for the identification, there is also, this is similar against, and after the similar the identification, that is the Leica image goes through the identity transformation. The reimage again also apply to the model, to the AI prediction model, so that the result will be the same, will be correct. So it's very the idea is very very simple. The idea is when we are doing all the transformation, so the idea is like that. Idea is very simple. When we are doing the transformation, we are doing style transformation, traditional doing style transformation. After transformation, this transformed image has to be applied into our AI model, and to make sure that after this transformation, this image applied to the AI model, they will still get a good and accurate segmentation result. Only when they already get the accurate segmentation, this kind of transformation is what we would like. In that, based on that, then it can reduce significant of the adversarial noise during this transformation being added into these transformed images. And similarly, the same images going self-transformation, the image go to the model also should be also have the same the accurate labeling result. Okay, so we have this. So we, based on that, we can come out a loss called segmentation loss. This is to enforce the model, the transformation to generate accurate transformation without adding the adversarial noise. Okay, so that is basic idea I have. And finally, we use the model, the transfer the image, fine-tune this decoder, and to come out a new model for segmentation. And this is the loss, and I will not go through. This is the loss. This is the loss, and I will not go through this detail. Basically, this is gain, cycle gain loss, and we add the segmentation loss. And the segmentation, the idea of segmentation I have described to you, I think it's better to describe by the idea and the picture rather than these notations. So I will leave you. If you are interested and not familiar, you can come back to me. And these are some of the experiments we have tried. We have tested our model. Our model is tested on Leica data set. and like a data set and transfer into Hamamatsu and 3D histake. And this is, you can see that without transformation, the image trained on Leica can do the segmentation of plasma cell lymphocyte nucleus segmentation. This performance, and when it applied to Hamamatsu data, and then it the performance significantly drop. And here, if you use the cycle gain, to do the convert, you can see that it increase, especially here, increase. It's good. But in our approach, you can see even much more increase. This is because in the cycle gain, transformation is only the the structural transformation. But during the transformation, they might have the adversarial noise in that. So for us, we try to enforce that the transformation has to be able to achieve the good performance for the task. So the performance increase much more. And this, and we test on different color space, and we found out that this RGB space is much better than the LAB color space. So later we all use. And this is some of the example. So you know why it takes such a long time to do the labeling. This is some of the nucleus and plasma cell. And this is the result. Sorry, I have covered it to both. This is the same. And this is 3D histake. And this is the, I don't know, I cannot move it. This is 3D transfer to Leica style. So you can see the yellow part means missing part. Green part means accurate being segmented. The yellow part means those that was not detected. But green part means detected. So you can see the performance after transformation, the performance increased significantly. This is another one. Yellow parts are the missing, and the green part are accurately detected. And we also tested on the tumor. This is the tumor site. So you have the similar result. Anyway. You can have similar result. And this is some of the image. This is 3D through Leica, and without 3D, you can see that this is 3D to Leica and Leica. And if not before, it's 3D, it's like that. And okay, and I have only 5 minutes left, and the last 2 slides is another approach. I just use 2 minutes to bring you. What I've mentioned to you is when I do what I mentioned before, we all need the source data, but there's another approach without source data. For example, what if I don't have the source data? I train on hospital A, and then when I carry to hospital B, and the hospital A will not allow me to carry the data away. So in that case, you will not be able to do that. So we also have another work to considering that if I have without the source data, we use so-called knowledge digitization. So use knowledge digitization to train another student and to do that. And this is some of the results. You can see that this is after adapting our model, the result is very and this is ground truth. Okay, so I've lived in the future, you'd like to see this second part, you can contact me, and also probably later or not later in the future, you can share you with the information. Okay, and this is some of the reference. Unfortunately, the cycle gain I haven't put it in here. I have not put it in here because the work I'm talking to you are in revision, so I did not put it in the reference. But if you are interested, now we are in revision, so after accepted, I can send you the paper if you are interested. And I would like to thank our team members and the gain, the cycle gain added with the reconstruction segmentation error is worked by these people, this member, who is this member, and this is the pathologists and the professors working with us, and this some of our team members. And thank you for your patience. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Julia. So the first one is the audience would like to know whether you will share the slides.
Stop sharing?
No, so will you be willing to share your slides with the people that attended the webinar?
Yeah, okay, I can. Sorry,
right. No, it's all good. So I will email it.
No problem.
All right. So I will email it to everyone who attended the webinar. So you should receive that shortly. Then another question is, what do you mean by ASPP in slide number 12?
Number 12, okay. Okay. All right, ASPP is one kind, as you know, the convolution. I use this one. As you know, the convolution usually, for example, in 3x3 convolution, we have the 3x3 in the neighboring as the convolution mask, right? This is a traditional convolution mask. For ASP mask, if it is resist for example, you can skip some of the pixels. You can Can you still see me? See the so for the 3x3 windows, they skip some of the pixels that did not apply on. That did not apply on. That means this 3x3 convolution has some of the pixels, skip some of the pixels. It is actually in 5x5 or 7x7, but only on these 3 pixels. So between in the pixel is not doing the convolution. It's not doing it. Did not do the convolution. This kind called ASPP, Spatial Pyramid Pooling. I don't know if I don't know if I can have the pen to draw. Oh, here. Is that? Will I be?
I don't know. We haven't tried it before.
Oh, it doesn't. Is that?
No, it's just a cursor.
Oh, yeah. For example, this is your pixel.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now this might be your image pixel, okay? You might have the image pixel like that. You might have the image pixel like that. You might have image pixel like that, okay? Okay. And so if it is a general convolution 3x3, that means our mask 3x3 is multiplied by with these 9 pixels. Your kernel multiplied with these 9 pixels. But if it is ASPP, you may be apply on this pixel, and this pixel. That means you skip some of the pixel did not do the multiplication. You know, that is called ASPP operation. Let me put 5 to 5.
Okay,
So
that's...
if it's SPP, you can decide it, even it's 3 by 3 kernel, but you can depend on how large you like. For example, you can say that I would like to apply here, here, and here, and then 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 here. So your window is still 3 by 3, but your view is much better. But this without checking, you did not do the kernel operation. But only those I check. Only those I check. You do the operation. This kind of convolution called ASPP, and you can decide a different view, different window size for do the operation.
All right, great. Thank you, Julia. Then there's another question. Can we use data harmonization technique?
Okay, so regular is 3 by 3 is this one, 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 this one. So 3 is fine. Yeah.
Yep. So can we use the data harmonization
Any other question?
technique? Can you hear me? Do you hear me,
Use
Julia?
what? Yes.
All right. So can we use the data harmonization technique to resolve cross-hospital variation effect?
Use outside. You mean instead of target hospital? What do you mean by use the data outside to resolve? Because when usually if your model train on one group of the data, and this group of data has certain data property, and if you apply into another group of data, if this another group of data is the same, that usually it works well. But in case this another group of data that has slightly drift or different property from the original one, then your model might not work very well. Okay, so if you like to apply your model to a target hospital, for example, hospital B, it's better you have the hospital B's data for test. If you get from the hospital C, then it will not work. It will not work because the hospital C might have even different. Unless, of course, one of my students also trying to see if we can build a model very general, but very general. That is whether I can try to extract the features only essentially. For example, if it's working on liver pathology, whether I can extract the feature only liver pathology irrelevant with the color staining. But unfortunately, the color staining also to reveal some of the property. For example, that the nucleus, how is that? So, but the possibility is try to disentangle this difference. Okay, the difference between the basic property and the styling. Then it is possible more to allow the model more possibly applied to general data, but still challenging. So our student has a different approach. They have a different approach to solve this. But so if your question represent that, then yeah, maybe.
Okay, great. Thank you. There's another question that before I've worked on the public data set, now I want to collect my private data set from the hospital. What steps are involved in the publication of my data set in a journal?
Okay. Actually, for the journal, normally they do not validate whether you apply into a specific hospital or not. Normally, they look for the journal. Normally, you look into the innovation and whether you have intensive evaluation. So you mean that if your model apply on general data set, if you apply in the general data set, you can still publish the paper. I still see lots of paper were published by using open data set, but by using some of the open data set. But currently, some of the open data set, they do not have the labeling. Maybe some of them would gradually would have. So you can still, but if you would like to take this model into the hospital for use, then you need to consider that hospital's scanner and also their dialing status, so that your model can best fit for that hospital's data. So for publication, it's not so highly relevant about whether it is practically applied on certain specific of the hospital, but you need to have a solid and convincing evaluation. That's what I know.
Right, thank you, Julia. So Hassan,
I answered the question.
Yeah,
Yes.
yes, thank you. So Hassan, I considered you have quite a number of questions. Unfortunately, our time is up for today, but I'm sure if you reach out to Julia and ask her those questions, she'll be able to assist you with them. So then just from our side, I would like to thank you, Julia, once again for your webinar today. We appreciate you coming and sharing
yes,
also
I'm happy to.
your research. Yep, and then also for all of the people that came
Thank
to
you,
attend.
and thank you, and
Yep. So also for all of the people who came to attend, thank you very much for making the time to come and listen. We appreciate that. And we will share the slides with you as well as a link to the recording. So that also those of you that maybe could not attend today can also go back to recording as well. So thank you once again, everyone, and I hope that you have a lovely day. Thank you. Bye.
okay, thank you, bye, bye. If you have any question, you can always contact me. I'm happy to share
That's great.
with you anything. Okay.
Thanks,
So I
Julia.
just crossed, right? Okay.
Yes.
Bye. Bye.